Hello and welcome to the news at 8. The Congress-ruled Punjab has given a hefty additional discount on petrol and diesel days after the centre's move to cut fuel prices on the eve of Diwali. Petrol prices will now be slashed by another 10 rupees and diesel by 5 rupees in Punjab. This hasn't happened in 70 years, claimed the Chief Minister Charanjit Singh Channi, announcing the cut months before the state assembly elections that are due early next year.
पंजाब सरकार ने अज बड़ा फैसला लेके पेट्रोल के रेट असी 10 रुपये घट कर रहे हैं। अज ही रात तो 10 रुपये 5 रुपये डीजल के रेट अज तो ही रात तो असी घट कर देंगे, जेड़ा कि पिछले 70 सालों के विच कदे मैं सुनिया नहीं कि इन्ना रेट भी कदे घटिया होवे या कदे इन्ना रेट वधिया हो।
See, certainly Mr. Channi has been seen as a CM who has been taking steps, who have been making announcements, and before he makes the announcement, there is always that information which passes on from the party that the Chief Minister is considering such decisions. So even when the opposition parties in Punjab were gunning for the state government to reduce VAT on fuel prices, many ministers within the government and senior leaders have already been speaking about it, that maybe the Chief Minister will take this decision in today's cabinet, and exactly that's what happened today, that petrol prices saw 10 rupees reduction and 5 rupees reduction was there on diesel prices. So certainly a big move, keeping in view that farmers consume a lot of fuel in this season during paddy stubble, paddy harvesting and wheat sowing. So a good move certainly will give some relief to the consumers across board, be it the agriculture community or the daily commuters, because price rise has been an issue which saw BJP losing all the 4 seats in the by-polls in Himachal Pradesh, and certainly these by-poll results or election results do resonate in the neighbouring states as well, and Congress is tapping on the public sentiments. They knew that this is one issue they cannot corner the opposition on, because in the neighbouring states of Himachal, Haryana, Chandigarh as a UT, J&K as a UT, all under BJP or central rule, you know that these states have reduced the VAT on fuel prices, and it was coming on to the Punjab Congress or the Congress government in Punjab to announce the reduction on fuel prices, and they did exactly that.
And the party is over. Diwali has left Delhi wheezing in dangerously unhealthy air.
Delhi's air quality worsening by the day for the third straight day as it continues to be among the top 10 polluted cities in the country. From historic architectures in Delhi to the Taj Mahal in Agra, monuments were seen covered in a thick layer of smog on Sunday morning. The overall air quality in Delhi is in the severe zone. The overall air quality index on Sunday was above 430, while the PM 2.5 levels above 280, the PM 10 levels above 400. Amongst the top 10 polluted cities in India, all air quality indexes are in the severe category. Gurugram tops the list, followed by cities like Ghaziabad, Noida, Faridabad, Hapur, Bagpat, Delhi, Firozabad, Ballabgarh and Vrindavan. The Delhi Environment Minister has blamed stubble burning.
ये आंकड़े दिखा रहे हैं कि ज्यों-ज्यों पराली जलने की घटनाएं बढ़ी हैं, दिल्ली के अंदर प्रदूषण का स्तर लगातार उसी रेशियो में बढ़ा है। इसलिए आज मैं केंद्रीय पर्यावरण मंत्री को ये चिट्ठी भेज रहा हूं। ये जो पराली का जो पोल्यूशन आ रहा है, इसको तत्काल रोकने के लिए इमीडिएट इमरजेंसी मीटिंग बुलाई जाए।
Meanwhile, doctors warn of the impact of air pollution.
More than 50% of the children, school-going children, adolescent children in the age group of 14 to 16, we have found them to be having some chest symptoms. So some are coughing, some are having tightness, some are having shortness of breath. Some chest symptom is present in more than 50%.
The ban on firecrackers was widely flouted across the national capital region, with neighbouring towns such as Gurugram, Noida, Ghaziabad now reporting alarmingly high levels of pollution.
While political parties debate over the air pollution crisis, patients, those especially with difficulties in breathing and those asthmatic, will be the worst impacted out of this crisis. With Mohammad Mursalin in Delhi, Shonakshi Chakravarti, NDTV.
And a disturbing video has also emerged from Motihari in Bihar, where a police officer, Bihar cop, has been tied to a post and beaten by gamblers because he carried out a raid on them, and they are asking, how dare you raid us on Diwali. There's a video of the incident that's gone viral on social media. It shows a group of men attacking and abusing this officer who's in his uniform. The person who is recording the video can be heard hurling expletives. His face, though, can't be seen in the video. Two other men can be seen tying up this policeman to a utility pole. His hands are tied behind his back, and of course he gets no help from onlookers. We're going to go in for a short break. After that, Rika, India is out of the World Cup.
Right, Sarah, Indian cricket not in the pink of health today after New Zealand's win against Afghanistan. India has been knocked out of the T20 World Cup. We will discuss about that after a very tiny break. Stay tuned. So New Zealand are the fourth team to enter the T20 World Cup semi-final. We shall of course discuss the subplot that involves India. But here's the likely semi-final scenario. Pakistan is likely to take on Australia and England could take on New Zealand in the semi-finals. Now let me get my guests into the show. I am joined at this hour by BBC commentator Prakash Vakankar. I'm also joined by Amrit Mathur, Senior Cricket Administrator. Amrit, to you first. This team, New Zealand, they are runners-up in the ODI World Cup from 2019, World Test champions. Can they clinch the T20 World Cup?
Well, you have to say that they are the most consistent international side. They won the Test Championship. They narrowly lost the 50-over World Cup. They're in the semi-finals there. And if you look at the team, there's no exceptional brilliance, there's no hype, there's no drama, but they're just professional, they're consistent, there's clarity of role, which they execute very well. So I think it's a great advertisement for a team which is not really high profile, but very consistent in performance. And I think they're good enough to beat any team and clinch the title, as you said.
Before we discuss the subplot to this game, New Zealand beating Afghanistan and entering the semi-final. Prakash, I have to ask you one question. 4 teams now in the semi-finals. Who's looking the most likely winner of the tournament?
The T20 tournament, Rika, that's an unfair question. Someone would call it a wide, right? But the reality is, I think, look, all 4 teams have an equal chance. Australia have sort of come back very strongly. England, Pakistan, at least on record, look like the strongest teams. But like Amrit rightly said, you know, New Zealand bring a certain calm, they bring a certain gentlemanly conduct, both on and off the field. And look, to be honest with you, if there was a grand slam in cricket, then New Zealand are on the cusp of it, because in my heart, I believe New Zealand actually did win the 50-over World Cup as well, even though technically they were runners-up. So New Zealand is, I think, if I may use the phrase with no pun intended, they are indeed the dark horses in their black jerseys, but the other 3 teams have equally good chances. Very, very difficult to call this. On the day, anything can happen.
On the day, anything can happen, and they are going to meet England, which looks like a formidable outfit right now. But let's now talk about what happened as a result of this match. New Zealand entering the semi-finals. So India has been knocked out. Amrit, let me come to you. A little while earlier, we had a press conference with the outgoing bowling coach of India. He said that perhaps it was bio-bubble fatigue and tight schedule. Do you concur with him on that?
Well, there could be many reasons. The bubble could be a factor. It actually wears you down mentally, because our team has been in bubble since I think May, June. So this is a long time. It has to affect everybody. Maybe too much cricket, no gap between IPL and the World Cup. Maybe wrong selection. Maybe, wrong execution. As somebody said, we were not brave enough. We didn't show intent. Maybe in a 20-over situation, maybe we are playing the wrong brand of cricket, unlike England or some other countries. So there could be many reasons for this. But I think the larger point is, we are the powerhouse of world cricket in every way. Talent, money, whatever whichever yardstick you use. And we are the best equipped to do well in T20 cricket because of IPL and the fantastic platform that we have, which others don't. And still, strangely, we are struggling in a T20 tournament on a world stage. And even to make it even more odd, our test record is exceptional. We won twice in Australia. We've done very well in England. So while all indications would suggest that we'd be the most formidable T20 team in the world, we are not. And maybe other teams look at us as a stronger test team. So I think we've missed a trick somewhere. It's time to rebuild. And maybe with a new captain and a new coach coming in, maybe there'll be a fresh direction to the team. Maybe there'll be a rethink on strategy, rethink on players, rethink on the roles of players. Do we still continue with senior players? Does Hardik Pandya, an unfit Hardik Pandya or an unfit, not fully fit Bhuvi fit in? Is Chahal, there can be lots of questions. But look at, one more thing. Today is Sunday. On the 17th of this month, India is on the road again. We are playing New Zealand in Jaipur. It's 10 days. And what if New Zealand is in the World Cup final in Dubai?
They hardly have any time.
They have 1 day before they go and play another international game in Jaipur. So the schedules are killing. They have to affect everybody. But still, you are dealing with professional athletes. They're supposed to cope and they're supposed to deliver on a day. So there's no excuse for not doing well, but we can understand the reasons behind somebody not doing well.
We know at least one of the top New Zealand players will not turn up for the matches against India in India because the timing is very short. Prakash, going back to you, Amrit spoke about IPL. We have the biggest cricket tournament in the world going. Strange similarities with the English Football League and English Premier League and the English team, the way they have been a bunch of underperformers in their biggest sport. Similarly, India having the biggest league, not being able to perform in the format the way they're expected to do so?
Well, I think Amrit made excellent points and I won't disagree with any of them. Just to sort of add to that, look, you look at the IPL, look at the roles that people play in teams. How many of those roles really are being performed by Indian players? How many are the overseas guys doing the trick for them? So we've got to take the IPL in a sense and balance it out with what is happening. The second is the only tournament we won was the inaugural one in 2007 in T20s. And what was it? It was basically making up a team to actually, none of the senior players went there. People were hungry. What could it have been? And I'm not saying that's the solution, but what could it have been if people like the Ruturaj Gaikwads of the world and the Venkatesh Iyers of the world and these young lads who performed so well and were fresh went in? And one final point, what is stopping our senior cricketers from saying, like Joss Butler did, like Ben Stokes did, or others have done, to say, look, I think the World Cup is an important tournament. I am going to give the IPL a miss, or I'm going to take a break from A or B or C. Is it the endorsement contracts? I don't know the answer. Is it, they can't be worried about reclaiming their place, surely. Mr. X or Y, who's very senior and seasoned, isn't going to be dropped because he or says that I'm going to skip one tournament here or two tournaments there. So what is it that is going on? We need to understand it well. And I would just like to hope and believe that with the new sort of white ball management, with Rohit in charge, at least in T20, we don't know about 50 overs yet, and with Rahul Dravid as the coach, maybe, as Amrit said, there will be some fresh thinking. We definitely need some serious introspection.
Amrit, since we are talking about the road ahead, we are also talking about a reboot. Would you say, like England, the way to follow in these days of too much cricket is 3 teams in 3 formats?
Well, you have to choose your best players for any format. But I think what we need to do seriously is to have better workload management. Maybe give players a break from time to time, whether it's the pace bowlers, whether it's the batsmen. So you have fresh players competing all the time. I think that's one area where we need to focus more on, which we haven't done. We had odd cases where Virat has taken time off for personal reasons or somebody else has taken time for personal reasons. But I think it should be a deliberate, thought-through policy of giving everybody a break so that they're ready, fresh when it comes to an important tournament. I think that's one thing which has been lacking in our cricket, which we must do now. No, I think you made a point about the English Premier League and
Right.
England not doing well. And the IPL, I think there's a basic difference there. But the top teams in the EPL do not have English talent. You know, they're players from overseas. Whereas in the IPL, there's job reservation. You have guaranteed 7 slots for Indians in every team.
Right.
So I think the pace of people who've been exposed to this high intensity, competitive, professional tournament is much more. You've got 8 teams, 7 Indians are playing every time there's an IPL game. So that's a very wide pool. So actually you're preparing a whole lot of cricketers for better cricket, maybe international cricket, competitive cricket. So I think that's the advantage we have, compared to any other country in the world. But still, if we do not win when it matters, so there is something missing.
Right, so 70 players from next year. Oh, yes, go on, Prakash.
Just one quick thing. Amrit is right. We've got to pick them, though. Right? We've got 56 players in each sort of 8 into 7, whatever. But then we've got to pick them. They can't be. We're finding that is feeding into our test team. I mean, look at the kudos India got for what happened in Australia. Right?
Right.
The bench strength, the people coming off, but they were all fresh. They were all hungry. Right? And I think that's the difference.
So it could be a selection issue. You know, did we go wrong in picking some players who played in the game against Pakistan and New Zealand? Did that sort of make a difference to the outcome? Maybe it did. So maybe even the selectors have to be more on the button when it comes to picking the right players for the right conditions against the right teams. So I think everybody together has to be professional, whether it's the new coach, the new captain, the players themselves, in terms of clarity of role. Look at how flexible England is in terms of using the players.
True.
Somebody's opening, somebody's in the middle order, somebody has a clear role as a finisher. So I think that's something which we need to learn, and we are slightly behind the curve when it comes to top class cricket at a world stage.
And also,
and
I
think...
Yes.
Sorry to butt in. You look at what Amrit talked about, the deliberate effort of sort of giving people break, managing. Remember how much flack England got for doing it during the Test series. Now, it's a fine balance, right? People have to set it. Either you give the individuals the choice, the board nudges you. It's a science, I think, and it will evolve. But we need, like Amrit rightly said, we need professionals on the job who can evaluate, assess, and do it.
Lots of food for thought there, but the news that we are discussing is that India has been knocked out of the T20 World Cup. For a 9th time now, they have been knocked out of the ICC World Cup. That's it in Turning Point for now. Thank you very much for watching.